In the Grand Hall of the Military History Museum, nestled among countless artifacts of courage and conflict, there's one exhibit that draws a special kind of attention. It's an old rifle, displayed reverently inside a climate-controlled glass case. At first glance, it might not seem particularly remarkable. Its wooden stock is scarred and worn, the metal components have lost their sheen, and most notably its barrel is gone, deliberately removed and sealed. It's a relic, a ghost of its former self. Yet, this rifle holds a secret, a mystery that unfolds every single morning. Before the first visitors arrive, when the museum is steeped in a profound silence, broken only by the hum of the ventilation system, the curators and early morning staff notice it. A faint, yet unmistakable scent hangs in the air right around the rifle's enclosure. It's the smell of gunpowder. It's not the acrid, overwhelming stench of a recent discharge, but a subtle, phantom aroma, like a distant memory, carried on the breeze. It's a smell that shouldn't be there. The rifle is inert, its firing mechanism disabled, its barrel absent. It hasn't been fired in decades, yet every dawn it seems to exhale the ghost of its past. This phenomenon has baffled experts for years. Scientists have tested the air, examined the rifle's materials, and checked for any external contaminants. They've found nothing. There is no logical scientific explanation for the recurring scent of gunpowder. It's as if the rifle itself is dreaming, replaying a pivotal moment from its history, a moment so intense it left an indelible olfactory echo. The curators, who have grown accustomed to this daily mystery, simply smile and say the rifle has a story to tell. And what a story it is. To understand the phantom smell, we have to travel back in time to the brutal, unforgiving winter of 1944. The rifle, then brand new and in the hands of a young soldier named Corporal Evans, was part of a small, isolated unit. They were deep behind enemy lines, their mission a vital one, but circumstances had turned against them. Outnumbered, undersupplied, and cut off from their main forces, they found themselves trapped in a frozen, desolate forest. The enemy was closing in from all sides, tightening the noose with each passing hour. The air was thick with tension, each snap of a twig in the woods sounding like a death knell. The unit had been fighting for days, a grueling retreat through snow-covered terrain. Ammunition was critically low. Food was a distant memory. The cold was a relentless enemy, seeping into their bones, making every movement a painful effort. Corporal Evans, like his comrades, was exhausted, but his grip on his rifle never wavered. This rifle was more than just a weapon. It was his partner in survival, a cold, hard piece of steel and wood that was his only real connection to hope. He knew its every imperfection, the specific way the bolt cycled, the familiar recoil against his shoulder. He'd cleaned it meticulously every night, even when his fingers were numb with cold, whispering to it as if it were a living thing. The final stand came at a narrow pass, a natural choke point in the rugged landscape. It was their only chance. If they could hold this pass, they might be able to break through the enemy encirclement and make it back to friendly lines. But their ammunition count was dire. Each soldier had only a handful of rounds left. They knew that once those were gone, their fight would be over. The commander made the grim decision. They would hold the line until the last bullet. Every shot had to count. There was no room for error, no ammunition to spare for suppressive fire. It was a strategy of desperation. As the enemy assault began, the forest erupted in a cacophony of gunfire and explosions. The small unit fought with a ferocity born of despair. Corporal Evans was positioned at a key vantage point, overlooking the main approach to the pass. From there, he could see the enemy's movements, pick his targets carefully, and make every shot lethal. His rifle spoke in sharp, deliberate cracks, each one a punctuation mark in the chaotic symphony of battle. One by one, his rounds were spent. He watched his comrades fall, their own rifles falling silent. The enemy forces were overwhelming, a relentless wave of soldiers crashing against their dwindling line of defense. Soon, the inevitable moment arrived. Evans reached into his pouch and his fingers found the last cold brass cartridge. One final round, he chambered it. The familiar click of the bolt, a somber sound. Looking down the pass, he saw the enemy's command officer, directing the final push, standing momentarily in the open. It was a difficult shot, a long one, but Evans knew what he had to do. Taking out the officer could sow enough confusion, create a momentary pause in the assault that just might be enough for the few remaining survivors of his unit to slip away. It was a sliver of a chance, but it was the only one they had. He steadied his breathing, the world narrowing to the space between his eye and the rifle's sights. The wind howled, whipping snow into his face. He ignored it. He ignored the cold, the fear, the sounds of battle raging around him. There was only the target, the rifle, and this one last shot. He squeezed the trigger. The rifle bucked against his shoulder one final time, the sharp report echoing through the frozen pass. The enemy officer fell. Chaos erupted in the enemy ranks. The assault faltered just for a moment. But a moment was all they needed. The surviving members of the unit, seeing their chance, scrambled from their positions and vanished into the dense woods on the other side of the pass, escaping the closing trap. Corporal Evans, however, did not follow. He had been hit in the final exchange of fire. He slumped over his rifle, his duty done. The last thing he smelled was the fresh, sharp scent of gunpowder from the shot that had saved his friends. When reinforcements finally broke through and reclaimed the area days later, they found Corporal Evans, frozen in his final act of defiance, his hand still on the rifle. The story of his sacrifice, of that one perfect, final shot, became legendary. The rifle was recovered from the battlefield, a silent witness to an incredible act of bravery. In honor of its role in saving the unit, the military decided not to decommission it in the usual way. Instead, its barrel was removed, symbolizing that its war was over, its duty fulfilled. It would never fire again. It was then placed in the museum, a permanent tribute to Corporal Evans and the unit he saved. And so it sits in its glass case, an inert object, a historical artifact. But for those who know the story, the faint smell of gunpowder that greets them each morning is not a mystery. It's an echo. It's the rifle remembering its purpose, reliving its finest hour. It's the spirit of a soldier, forever bound to the weapon that was his final companion. It's the scent of sacrifice, of a single shot that defied impossible odds and purchased the lives of many. The rifle may be silent and still, but every day at the quiet break of dawn, it whispers its heroic tale, not with a sound, but with the phantom scent of gunpowder. It's a story that needs no words, a legacy that time cannot erase. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as moving as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from history.